podcast for those who suffer, which is everyone.
It's a space where we can speak honestly about what it feels like to be in desolate places without losing hope.
Welcome to In the Thicket. Welcome back to season 4 of In the Thicket. You are so welcome to be here, dear listener. Thank you so much for joining us for, I can't believe it's season 4 already. Crazy. We invite you, if you're a new listener, to go back and listen to some other seasons for lots of really beautiful stories. And we're really looking forward to this season being able to share with you guys about some experiences of instability and what it means when we discover that things are different than the way that we thought. But in this episode, we're just catching up with you, just to let you know about what happened with us over the summer, where things are at now, and what we're looking forward to from this season. So we're so happy to have you along with us for the ride. God bless you.
Hi, you guys.
Hello. Hey. Welcome back.
We are so excited to be back. Actually, we were just talking about this, how we just miss. It's the summer is great and it's good to have a break and all of that, but we're just so happy to be back and with you all here. All of you listeners. So thanks for tuning in to our opening episode of this season.
Yes.
I guess let's introduce ourselves. For those who don't know us, I'm Nicole Wishard Williams. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, but I am Canadian, and I am a music therapy professor at a university here in Nashville. So that's me.
And married to a wonderful man. I was going to say named Nathan.
I'm going to say we're married to a wonderful Nathan. Yes. Yes.
That's great.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm Erin. I'm a consecrated virgin who I was consecrated in the Archdiocese of Toronto. I am living currently in Ottawa. I am doing some speaking and writing. I swim a lot and play with my nephews.
You do swim a lot. That is true.
I do.
My name's Rachel D'Souza, and I am also Canadian, but living in America. So I live in DC, and I go to school at the John Paul II Institute for Studies of Marriage and Family. It's a really long name. But yeah, that's where I go to school. I'm studying theology, and we're supposed to say something interesting. I had one of my nephews was born this summer. So when we're talking about, it's our first, episode back in highs and lows. And so we'll get into that in a bit, but I have another nephew, which is very exciting.
That's very fun. We were just talking about this too, but I feel like when you become an aunt for the first time, there was some video, whatever it was, like a reel or a YouTube thing that went around up I don't know, 5 years ago or something, about girl becomes aunt, and she basically is taking pictures of her nephew or niece and putting them in people's faces and obsessively talking to them about her, the niece and nephew, and not reading social cues of anyone else that they may not be interested in. It's just it doesn't 100%. Matter because I'm completely in love with this young child.
Exactly. And you're going to listen to me and look at this cute picture of his thumb. Isn't it just so fun?
That's 1000% me. I mean, I think I try to be aware of it, but even in being aware of it, it's still it just is not possible to contain. It is kind of, I was telling a friend of mine recently, because there's babies are so beautiful and I fall in love with babies routinely, but I'm really in love with my nephew. We're in love. I think about him randomly. I wonder what he's doing. It's really I'm really in love with him. So that's
your arms ache for him when he's not
they
in
do.
them.
They do. I think about, baby jokes that I might make that he might find funny. And I wonder, will he find them funny? And then he has a great sense of humor too. He is, by the way, 16 or 17 months. So yeah, he has, we're talking really, really, very physical jokes at this point. He's not really into the irony so much, or dry
funny
humor.
Sounds. And
yeah. But he has a great sense of humor. And so sometimes I'm I wonder what jokes he's up to right now. It's kind of intense.
Yeah.
It's
I feel that
intense.
They're just so funny, It's everything they say is funny. And then I think pretty much everything my nephews say is funny always, but there are some things that other people think that are funny as well, So
and we're doing it right now.
And we're doing it right now.
Yeah, we're doing it
exactly. exactly.
Yes.
Shapes. I was doing shapes with my nephew the other day. And so I would put my fingers in like a configuration. I was like, what is this shape? He's like, triangle. I'm like, what is this shape? He's like, circle. I'm like, what is this shape? And it's like a diamond for those who are not watching on YouTube. And he's like eggplant.
Valid.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Valid.
It's actually, I see it. I do see it.
Right?
That's
I know.
great.
I was just looking up because I thought that this would be fun since you guys were talking about Canada and the US. Right now, we are tied. So slowly over time, when we first started the podcast in year 1, we had like a mainly Canadian audience because we're all in Canada, you know, and it wasn't even mainly people who were related to us. So I think that's a good start. But anyways, and then it like slowly started creeping up. And so right now, this is from Spotify. So like our stuff from Spotify. So it doesn't take into account some other platforms. But according to them, our audience is 45% from Canada, 45% from the US.
Wow.
Right. And then there's like some other places. And so shout out to all of you loyal listeners who are not in Canada and the US and are tuning in to listen to our ridiculous referrals to mounds of snow and things like that that may not be applicable to you. But anyways.
Yeah. But nephews probably are, you know, that's a universal experience.
Yeah. Nephews totally are.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
You're welcome for being the aunts that we are. In love with our nephews.
Awesome.
Being super relevant.
So we'll see where we end up by the end of the year, though. Where the Canadian US balance.
Now it's a race.
Yeah, now it's a race. So if you're a Canadian listener, I'm the only one living in Canada, so you're on my team. And we are going to try and increase the listeners in Canada. And then you guys
This is just an Erin flex right now because technically she's pulling in double.
Yeah, that's true. It's like Rachel and I account for that.
We have the same. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I guess you know. We gotta work harder.
You gotta just step up your game. That's all. You know, you guys are both busy with things. I just all day long, I just make phone calls to people. I'm like, have you listened to our podcast
on suffering? See, I think that's the thing. It's kind of like hard to advertise this podcast. Like, I know we've talked about this before, but every time I mention like I have a podcast, like, ooh, like what's your podcast on? And I'm like, it's on suffering. And they're like, oh,
yeah. And
like,
then how do you
where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Where do you
I've learned to like add on. I'm like, it's on suffering and hope. And they're like, oh, so it just, you know,
that is a great.
Maybe I should say hope.
But Erin's lying to you. It's not on suffering. It's just suffering.
It's just on suffering. Get ready to suffer, everybody.
Well, okay. Here's a question for you, ladies. So what were the moments of, you know, suffering and hope in your summers? JK, just highs and lows. We'll just talk about. But yeah, folks, if you're joining us today, we just wanted to basically catch up with you about our lives and what we were up to over the summer and the break. We're recording this episode kind of early-ish September, and I think our first episode is coming out. Which date, Erin?
September 18th.
Couple weeks.
No, 18th. Okay, so this is recording about 10 days before that, 11 days. So this is fresh off the press summer updates for you all.
Yeah. There's a lot of hot girl summer, like I feel like TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but they do like YouTube shorts or whatever where they take people are making a lot of fun of the hot girl summer kind of hashtag. That's
awesome.
Yeah, I did not have a hot girl summer, just to be clear. I just was thinking of that. That was kind of like my foil.
Did you say I did not have a
I did not. Okay. That was not my summer.
How was your summer, Rachel? Yes. Why don't you tell us about your non-hot girl summer?
It was a non-hot girl summer because we had this huge exam that I was preparing for. And also there was just a lot of back and forth because my second nephew was born, which was really exciting. There's like a lot of traveling going on. Just kind of being there for my brother and sister-in-law and my first nephew. And so it was really lovely. But I think hot girl summer is like, you're at the beach, your hair looks amazing. You're just, everything is so toned, you know, it's like that situation.
Sounds boring.
I wasn't. Sure. Yeah, that was not my summer, and I'm not upset about it. I loved my summer, but yeah,
I'm not upset about it. Okay, I'm not like
I'm not. I'm really not. I swear. But yeah, no. So it was good. That was probably my high for the summer was my nephew's birth, nephew number 2, and and I guess my low. I guess were we doing like highs first and then lows, or
sure?
Do both?
Sure. Yeah, do both.
Do both. Okay. and I don't think I had like a low, like it was kind of an even keeled summer in a certain sense where I kind of felt pretty stable the whole time. But my low was probably just kind of meeting my limitations on every front of my life, just my own interior sort of reality of like, oh yeah, this is where I end when it comes to like academics. Oh, bless you, Nicole. Nicole
Bless you.
She
Those
muted
who are
herself.
watching, yeah.
I muted myself, but you could all see me sneeze.
I just watched the build up to that too. It was quite funny.
Yeah,
this is great.
It was
next time I'll let you hear it too. My sneezes are very loud and exciting. So
Okay.
there you go.
Good.
All right. Sorry, Rachel.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Well, I was like, yeah, not really a low, just kind of, yeah, sort of experiencing my limitations in like personally and academically and in every possible way. And yeah, that's just sort of normal though, right? Like that happens to everybody. And right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Affirmed. Yes.
Yes.
Right?
That happens. This is the thing.
Yeah. So other than that, pretty good. Pretty even keeled, pretty. Yeah. Sorry.
That's good.
That's a kind of a slow start to our sharing, but there you go.
It's all right. Thanks, Rachel.
Erin,
Erin, what about you? How was your summer?
Yeah, so I didn't do a whole lot this summer in terms of I don't know, like big exciting plans or things like that. I think that probably my I'll start with my low. My low for the summer, I think, is that I didn't have a lot of big exciting plans for the summer, because it's so nice in the summer to do like a little road trip or to go, like
Totally.
we got to go out to, like Winnipeg for your wedding, which was super fun.
Last year.
Yeah, exactly. Last year. Yeah. And so then this year I was planning on going to the Sisters of Life Final Vows in New York, because I've been wanting to go for years. Like, so all of these sisters that I know from Toronto are like professing their final vows. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to go this year. And then something always comes up. And so then this year something totally came up too, right before. So I was like, that sucks. And it's been, so it's been kind of like that. So if you're a new listener, I have fibromyalgia. So chronic pain stuff, but sometimes stuff comes up, or if there's something else that's going on, it usually gets a little bit magnified. So I'm having some like back pain now, so that's been kind of an issue. And then I have had for the whole summer when you get what is it, postnasal drip, and so you feel like you just swallow every 5 seconds. And you're like
make sound. That was the strangest sound I've ever heard in my life. I don't even understand how that happened. How a human being that just made that sound.
I just wanted to be as honest with people as possible. This is my summer, so just picture me over the course of the summer just doing that multiple times a day, which I hate. Because, okay, honestly, when you're in like adoration, or you're in a public place, or you're in something like that, and you have somebody who's like, and they're like,
oh my gosh, I don't know. Like when you hear this back, I'm like, I'm wondering if the mic is distorting it or something, because that is the craziest sound I have heard a human being.
I'm loving this.
Oh my gosh. My stomach is like hurting from laughing so hard here.
I'm just in shock. Like I'm like in just like I'm like just as an auditory person, I'm just like confused and shocked. And
that's right. But it's good. I just want to be authentic, and normally that stuff, like if people are sniffing all the time, or like I'm totally a proponent of just blow your nose,
go for it.
Except for me. So I try not to do that exact noise for obvious reasons in front of other people, except for my family or friends.
In front of me at church on a Sunday, I would be so distracted. I would have been like, what is happening to that person? Are they okay?
See, that's exactly it, right? So I try not to do that, but I do have to do it numerous times a day, because there's just, I can't, my nose doesn't blow. Like nothing has come out of my nose for like 6 months. Anyways, so that's just noise. So there's just like these little annoying things that are like that. So those are kind of my lows, like cumulative lows over the summer. But the highs from my summer, were all, so like in May, there were ordinations for the Archdiocese of Toronto that I got to go to, which were beautiful, and a couple of good friends, like not like super good friends, but guys that I've known for a while. And one of them was an MC at my consecration, and one of them, like it was just so beautiful to be there for their ordination, especially because I'm a consecrated virgin for that archdiocese, and I have been praying for them. Like I pray for all the priests, all the seminarians, like every day for years now. So like it's just so special.
They're like, are they like your spiritual family or spiritual
100%.
children?
They're like spiritual sons, you know, which is especially because they're all younger than me. Like anybody getting ordained is pretty much younger than me now. Like we've moved into that territory. So yeah, so that's beautiful. So that happened. And then in June, there was an ordination for the Archdiocese of Ottawa. There were 2 men, 1 French, 1 English who were ordained. And then I got to go to the first Mass and reception for the English guy who was ordained. And it was so beautiful because a bunch of the guys from the seminary in Toronto came up. And so it was like this fun, lovely banquet that was just like so beautiful. So that was a real gift to me. And then after that, I mean, July happened, whatever. And then August hit and there were vow professions. So there was a vow profession for the Queenship of Mary, which is a religious community here in Ottawa. So they had 2 women who were professing their first temporary vows, which is very exciting there because they get like their new name. So, you know, when you go to it, if anybody has never been to that before, it's like, first mother announces what the sister's new name and religion will be. And then when they profess their vows, it's their first time saying that name, knowing what their name is and saying it out loud. So they're like, Megan Trainer, known in religion as Sister Beatrice Deloge. I just picked out a name of a random high school that's in Ottawa because I couldn't think of anything else. Anyways, but like, so it's like the first time. So that's like super emotional. And then I got to go to the final vows profession of a friend who's been a friend for a number of years. And it was like a long and kind of, you know, rocky road at times to final profession. And she's just so beautiful. So she was able to profess, and at her profession, so they don't do this at all, you know, religious sister professions, but for this order, they do. They have their funeral pall. So like the white piece of cloth that will cover their casket at their burial. They use that and they hold it over the woman while she's laying on the floor during the Litany of Saints, which is amazing because it really symbolizes her death, and that the next time that she will be prostrate, like at, you know, horizontal on, you know, in a church, she will be dead in her coffin with the funeral pall over her, having lived this life of, you know. And the even more beautiful story, this is like a long story, but it's just so beautiful. So her brother was had kind of a similar thing with the Companions of the Cross. So he was with them for a while, and then he left for a bit, and then he came back, and it was kind of like this, you know, this thing. So they had these similar paths, and he became a priest in June. So he like, it was like amazing. Yeah, and then he was one of the ones who was holding one of the corners of her funeral pall at her. So basically, like my whole, and then I got to go to Toronto for the final vows of Sister Gaudia of the Sisters of Life.
Yeah, that's right. She was in Toronto. That's right.
So she was in Toronto. So they had those vows in Toronto, and that was like, it's always beautiful. You know, the Sisters of Life vow professions are like unreal. Anyway, so it was, so basically I just went from place to place sobbing. I can't sit through those things without like it's just like all of these things well up in me, like this one life, Lord, that you have taken and done such great things in, like the potential, all the things that, like the little kids that are sitting in the pew seeing this person and how that's gonna like impact them, and they're like, it just like, you know what I mean? Like the power of a life, the power of one yes to the Lord was just like hitting me over and over and over. So I was just like sobbing mess every time.
And then did you have to make that funny sound because of your nose?
I did it in secret. I would go to my car and then or like I would go outside before I was going to the reception and make sure there wasn't anybody too near me, and then
okay. Oh my goodness.
It was worse because I had been crying, so you know, doesn't help with the. Anyways,
the sound is crazy, but the summer sounds beautiful.
Yeah, the summer was good. Yeah, the summer was good. Yeah.
So beautiful.
How about you, Nicole? How about you?
Yeah. Okay. So my summer, I think so. I'll start with the high. So the high of my summer was just a lot of really wonderful like family and friend events, like weddings, mostly weddings. So my brother got married in May, and then a good friend of mine got married in June, and then my sister got married in June, and then another good friend got married in July. And so Nathan and I were able to go to all those weddings and be in Canada. They were all those weddings were in Canada, and they were each in a different city. And we were both kind of working on PhD stuff over the summer as well. Nathan and I are both finishing our PhDs at the University of Toronto. So we actually kind of temporarily relocated ourselves in Toronto for the summer, and then we like drove and or flew to different weddings. So that was like, yeah, just wonderful to see so many of these folks like find their with their person and all of these things. It was just wonderful. So I think the low was just like talking about finding, your own limits and stuff. Just like the travel was just hard on me, and just, I had, and there was like other weird stuff that happened. Like I'm in the process of applying for like green card status here in the US. And so when we had just gotten up to Canada, we went to my brother's wedding, and then like around that time we found out that I needed to fly back to Nashville for like just like a fingerprinting appointment. So I had to like, I was just like back to back of these like flights, and thankfully they're like, you can fly really cheaply between Nashville and Toronto, but it's just exhausting to be in transit so much. And so that was just like, it took a while for my like just my body to get used to that. I was just like stressed for a while, and just all this stuff. So it was just, balance between that. And now I don't remember all the stress. I just remember all the nice memories from the summer. But no, so it was good. And it was nice to be able to just be in Canada again, in my home and native land,
Yeah. So we can say we did get to see each other.
That's true.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Which was amazing too.
Yeah.
That was totally a high.
That was wonderful. Yeah. We had like the four of us, three of us and our secret prayer partner had dinner in Toronto like a couple months ago. Was it June? I think it was end of June, right?
Yeah.
That we went.
Yep.
On
we had
the
dinner and then ice cream. Yeah. Lakeshore, walked around. It was so nice.
Yeah.
It was really lovely.
A little bit.
It was so
beautiful.
Nice, so.
Yeah. We took a picture. We posted it on Instagram, but I'll post it again for people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously everybody needs to see that picture. They need to see us.
The proof. This is that we are
proof that we're in the same.
Once in a while, we're in the same place. Yeah, exactly.
That's right. So,
yeah. Yeah, so it's good. So, okay, here's a question for you folks, you ladies. And we've been talking. So we had our planning meeting for all you listeners a month ago. I don't remember. We had a planning meeting months, like a couple weeks ago, maybe.
I
don't know. Anyways, recently. Yeah. We had a planning meeting. Yeah. And we talked about some of the episodes that we want to record this year. So I'm wondering, what are you all excited for? What are some exciting things that we can give people a little taste of, or
pulling it up?
Okay.
So good. Yeah. Just looking at this. Yeah,
I can start if you guys are not sure. I know we have a couple people who are talking about and just certain themes that are coming up, suffering related to like religion or participation in faith, and things related to just faith, and I think that's important. I've been having so many conversations with people about just like looking back at our like childhood experiences of growing up maybe in a family of faith, and probably with a lot of really good things, and then maybe with some things that you look back on now that are maybe not so good, and just trying to process through all of that. And so so I think just our God is good, and we love the Catholic Church, and we love all of these things. We also know that the way that humans live out our faith is always going to be flawed, right? And that we can hurt each other, and so many of us have those wounds from people in the church. And so just talking about what that's like. So I think that theme is something that's I'm excited to kind of dig into in a few different episodes and different angles of that.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the things that we have here. I'm like excited to hear from some people who've, like, we were talking about having we're going to have somebody who is going to talk about like scandals in the church and how that's impacted them, and wading through that. And looking at like Catholic guilt. What is when we talk about Catholic guilt, there's like a lot to unpack there. We're hoping at some point, we're just chatting with people right now about somebody who experiences same-sex attraction and having them come and share about their experience, which is like a whole huge thing. We could probably do like 18,000 episodes on that alone. Yeah, so I think some of those things are like, I feel like often I kind of think about the things that I think I know about God or my faith or other people or the church or things like that. And there's like, sometimes they just get a little bit rocky, or you just discover things in a different way, or there's something about God that, you know, you thought you knew, and then you're discovering, or he's like, and it's not just like discovering knowledge wise, but it's like he's showing you a different part of his heart that's like,
right,
you're way more merciful than I thought, or like you're way more tender than or like even just things like that. So I'm like excited to look at some of that nuanced stuff, you know. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, beautiful.
We're hoping to do, I think, kind of like a book series at Advent. With this book called Cry of the Heart. We'll kind of share more information about it as we go along. But it was recommended to me by a friend this summer when he was like, "Oh, you do a podcast and stuff. I like try like read this book." And I haven't started it yet, but I'm really hopeful about it, actually. Like I'm just really like, so I think for me, late this summer, I don't know, I've just been thinking a lot about the reality of evil in the world, you know, and just like sin and suffering that comes from that and stuff. And I don't know, have you guys heard of Nightbird, like the singer?
Yes.
Yeah. So she was this American singer. She went on America's Got Talent, and she had cancer. She's since passed away, but she had it 3 times. She passed away, I think she was like 31 or 32. She was really young. And she's a musician. So she was in between, I think, her second and third bouts of cancer, or maybe she had started her third and she was kind of okay enough, and then her illness really took a turn after her audition, and she couldn't come back to sort of complete that process. But she got like the golden. I don't really know how it works. I don't really watch it except for the YouTube clips. But anyways, it went viral because you can tell how sick she is, and she sang one of her original songs, and it was just really,
I have it here.
Voice. It's a beautiful.
I'm gonna play. I'm just
voice.
gonna like play. You guys tell me if you can hear it, because
Erin, unless you adjust your audio settings, it won't.
Then I won't be able to
work.
Even if I go like,
it'll.
Yeah,
no,
it's just cutting it out.
You'd have to put it on us, but
really? Oh, that's so sad. Okay, we will post that on.
I mean,
Instagram,
it's very accessible.
So
if you guys look up Nightbird, I think she spells it like Nightbird as one word with an E on the end.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I knew her story before. I did. I don't know why it just came back up again for me. There's a song of hers that I really like. I mean, I really like some of her songs. I just enjoy them and her story. Anyways, so I just a couple weeks ago just kind of wandered back into that world and was like listening to her stuff and like reading about her story, and it's like excruciating. I was listening to this podcast where she talks about it, and she was saying this was when she had got cancer for the second time and was in remission from that. And she was sharing her journey up to that point. And basically the first time she got it, it was after a 3-year period. Like in her college years, she was very popular. I think she was in Virginia somewhere, and she was really popular at her college town as a musician. But she felt like she didn't really know herself. I'm sorry, I'm like going to her whole story, but I'll be quick.
That's cool.
So she felt like she didn't know herself. So after college, she took 3 years off to really like reconnect with the Lord. And she was like living a hidden life in a way of prayer. And at the end of the 3 years, she was like ready to go back into the world to sing. And she felt like that's what God was asking her. And literally almost like to the month of the end of those 3 years, she found out she had like metastatic breast cancer. So she was like already, it was very, very bad. And so she was just felt so betrayed by the Lord, you know, and she talked very honestly about that, but she felt his presence with her as well. So in that process, she went into remission and she got cancer again. The second time she got cancer, this is all within like 4 years or something crazy. Second time she got it, her husband left her literally. So she got divorced, and it's like, and then she had a miraculous kind of healing. They gave her 6 months to live, and it miraculously, like she did some alternative treatments and it went away. And then she did America's Got Talent and she got it again. And and then she passed away. But it was like, it's just like her faithfulness to God is very beautiful, in her tradition, in her denomination, her tradition. And I just was like, wow, like that's a thing. Like she's walking with the Lord and that happened. And she has a beautiful way of processing it that I think is very honest about her feelings toward God and her feelings toward herself, but also very committed to the goodness of God, like in some really profound ways. Anyways, I was just like, this is hard. Like, it's hard. And I was like thinking about her and then just thinking about all the different people that I know that are going through different things and just kind of struggling with that question of like, how, like, Lord, I know that you are good, but it's really hard to really know that you are good times in the face of this kind of stuff. So I'm excited about all of our episodes because I think that's really why we're doing this podcast is like, that's the question that we are always talking about every episode.
Yeah.
Right.
But it
Totally.
really does come up for me again and again in different ways, in very real ways. So I'm just excited to, I guess, do this podcast again and ask this question again and just like hear how God responds to my, question of my heart in a way. Because he always responds. I mean, that's the really cool thing about asking this question in faith. Like he always does respond.
Yeah.
So it's going to be cool. And I think the book study will be
It'll be great. Yeah. I did already start reading it. I can confirm it's great.
Yay.
I'm excited for that.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay tuned. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Are we doing a God wink?
I think we can save it for next week.
Save it for next one? All right. Stay tuned for God winks. You'll have to just listen next week if you want to know God winks.
Can't wait.
Anyways, thanks for listening, folks. And we are looking forward to meeting you again in a week. All right. God bless you.
God bless you.
Guys.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of In the Thicket. If you like what you hear, give us a rating and hit that subscribe button. We have new episodes every Monday with more stories and honest conversations about life when the going gets rough and the hope and humor amidst it all. We'd love for you to join our community on Instagram and Facebook at In the Thicket Podcast. While you're there, let us know how we can pray for you. God bless and see you next week.